Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the podcast where we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. Joining me once again, my co-host and tocayo Adrian. Adrian, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, dude? Once again, another freaking late game for Nations
Yeah.
League. Not necessarily happy about it, but let's get into it, dude.
Let's get into it. Mexico, Honduras. We wanted to make a recap video of both matches, not just after the first leg. Kind of this video is going to serve to recap both matches, mainly focusing on the second leg, just because the second leg had a lot more to talk about, a lot more positives, a lot more action from the Mexican side. But Adrian, as you know, the first leg was kind of a repeat of last year's Nations League quarterfinals when Mexico went to Honduras and ended up losing 2-0. A game that was pretty even. I believe both teams had 10 shots. 10 just general shots, and from those 10 shots, Honduras had 5 on target, Mexico had 4. So even in that sense, possession wise, was more towards Mexico, 63 versus 37% for Honduras. But it was a match where Honduras won, but they didn't necessarily play great. It's just that Mexico couldn't finish and played awful. So it was a match where you and I discussed before this episode that Mexico doesn't really show much grit going playing away, going to Central America, and that's a big thing that Vasco needs to fix and soon.
Yeah, I think that if there's a big takeaway from this leg specifically is that, and I think a lot of fans and people around the Mexican national team have realized is that this specific generation of players, I'm not going to say everyone, but a lot of them, the core of them, have no grit whatsoever when it comes to overcoming very treacherous or difficult situations or environments, right? And I want to put this into perspective, like the Mexican player playing in ligamx is essentially a rock star. They play on fairly decent condition pitches. Most of them play at the top 5 clubs, which have all the amenities that you can think of, and they make great money. They all fly in on charter flights. They have everything catered to them. The ones that play in Europe, pretty much in a similar condition, right? And so whenever they go out and play in freaking San Pedro Sula, Tegucigalpa, El Salvador, and all those places where it's very hostile and difficult to play, and they don't have the best dressing room, or not everything is catered to them, you can see that they start to freaking just they fall under the pressure, and this is a big concern. It should be something that not only El Vasco needs to address on the near future, but it's something that needs to change for the upcoming generations in the Mexican national team.
It's just one of those things that happens in CONCACAF. You go from grade A facilities having to go play in these facilities where, the grass is barely growing on the field. So definitely not a good first leg for Mexico. It all came down to the second leg. We put a question on Instagram asking y'all's thoughts, predictions for this, if Mexico was going to do la vuelta, come back and win this. The majority saying yes, and those fans were paid for their faithfulness. Mexico ultimately winning today 4-0. Goals from Raul Jimenez, Henry Martin, 2 goals, 1 penalty, and Jorge Sanchez scoring in the 85th minute. Adrian, before we really get into this second match too much, I want to discuss the lineup changes between the two matches. One of the big talking points between the first match and the second match, first match specifically, was that he started with Guillermo Ochoa in the goal. Guillermo Ochoa replacing Malagon, who's been in decent form, great form. We know he's a 2-time champion back-to-back with America. They're now in the Liguilla for this season. And after missing the Copa America, most fans thought that he was going to be starter for these 2 matches. That was a big change. The lineup formation stayed the same throughout the matches, 4-2-3-1. In the back, we saw Cesar Montes partnered in the first match by Israel Reyes, and in the second match by Orozco. We saw Gallardo get a chance with Huescas on the flanks in the second match. In the first match, he played Angulo and Jorge Sanchez. Edsonalvarez was played, obviously, in both, but then we saw kind of a change in the number 9. Raul Jimenez kind of was playing behind Orbelin Pineda in the first match, right? And here he was playing in the second match as a direct number 9 with Luis Romo behind him. So a lot of changes, and a lot of changes that I think he definitely had to make after that first 2-0 win. Or 2-0 loss. What do you think was the big change or the big factor that kind of stood out for you here?
Yeah, I think that this was definitely not a Hail Mary attempt from El Vasco, but definitely a the maybe because of the score, right, and the fact that they move on to the next stage, the right moves. But I think it's just it was pretty much a as they would like to say in Mexico, patadas de ahogado. So he realized that he was essentially against between the wall and the sword, right? Entre la espada y la pared. I don't know if that translates in English in any way. um, and just
Yeah, I
he needed
think
to just
in English they say between a rock and a hard place.
yes, exactly. Here we
Yeah.
go. So for those who got it, thank you for staying with me. um, but no, I think that he realized that he needed to make big moves, right? And I know that during the press after the match and before this match, he pretty much reiterated the fact that he's using every single game as a chance to see more players and to find the specific formation, well, not the formation, but the specific lineup that he wants to use. But I think he realized that he had to go back to, I don't want to say the roots, but to go back to some of those players that have proven to be effective with the national team in the names of Gallardo, right, in the names of Luis Romo, Alexis Vega. So I think he was accurate to put three players who are currently in great form with their club in the names of Charlie Rodriguez, Alexis Gutierrez, and Luis Romo to start. Y'all know that I'm not a huge fan of Charlie Rodriguez, but he did okay on this match. The fact that he didn't put Ochoa again as the starting goalie, it tells me that he reaffirmed his thoughts that he shouldn't trust Ochoa, because if he would have, if he would have trusted Ochoa, he would have given me the chance to redeem himself, but he didn't. So in my mind, you can clearly say that Malagón is the number one option. He was just trying to see if Ochoa was up to the challenge, but you can tell that he's not. And then he also realized that, of course, you missed a key player in Johan Vasquez, but not playing a natural left-footed center back did you way more harm than putting someone that you can trust in the name of Cesar Montes, right? Because that was a big mistake on the first match, moving Cesar Montes to a position that he's not necessarily super comfortable with. And I think Chiquete Orozco, yes, it was Honduras, but I think it's safe to say that if Johan Vasquez is injured, Chiquete Orozco can actually do a decent job as a sub.
Yeah, he had a standout performance, I think, here. Granted, it was Honduras. We talked about in our preview, Adrian, a lot about these Cruz Azul players, how we expected him to get minutes to some of them. Others didn't really get many minutes. Eric Lira comes to mind, right? But we saw Luis Romo, we saw Alexis Gutierrez, we saw
Jorge Sanchez.
Jorge Sanchez, yeah,
Yeah.
get a chance. So we saw a good amount of Cruz Azul players here. But did Alexis Gutierrez, I know he was kind of a talking point between you and I during the match. Do you think he did well enough to maybe deserve another look, to deserve another call up here?
It's a tough one. I don't think we should judge him based on this first match. It is unfortunate that he wasn't as influential as we wanted him to be. Um, and so I would say that if he keeps performing for Cruz Azul and everything is going good for him at the club level, he should definitely get a second chance. But if you're just gonna base his, I guess, return to la selección mexicana on this specific match, then I will say that no, he was more of a sleepy player on this specific match than anything else.
Yeah, somebody that kind of did not live up to the hype of, his the season he's been having based in ligamx. He's right. But I think now, man, especially after the second match, seeing that golazo from Raul Jimenez, seeing those two goals from Henry Martin, Vasco's got to be feeling pretty good going forward, striker wise. Obviously, Santiago Jimenez is out, but Raul Jimenez is having a great season. He just got off the scored here against Honduras, and then you have Henry Martin who comes in kind of when Vasco's looking for that second goal, right, and gets him two goals. So in a game full of positives, I think the second match where Malagón, I think you said, is something that he can now pretty much drop that conversation about starting him or Ochoa. I think at the same time now he can say, I have two informed strikers. When I have my other striker out injured, I have at least these two guys I can count on, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think this is just a very strong proof that Raul Jimenez needs to be the starting nine for Mexico, no matter what. Even if Bebote Jimenez comes back and he's in stellar form, Raul Jimenez has done anything that he can to be considered the number one for that spot. And Henry Martin, every now and every time and every single chance that he has to perform for Mexico, he has done it in a very, very, very strong way. So I think it's safe to say that number one for the number position in Mexico, Raul Jimenez, and the second option should always be Henry Martin.
Wow, ahead of Santiago.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's too bad that he's injured, but he hasn't done a lot to pretty much help himself be the contender for that number one role.
Hasn't
Hopefully he
scored
comes.
since that final of
Yeah,
the World Cup.
exactly. Hopefully he comes back and he redeems himself. And I think we all know that he is the future of la selección mexicana, but we also have to be very, very true to ourselves and realize that this is a pretty much near future solution, right? We need to find who are the best players for that 2026 World Cup tournament.
We were talking during the match, Adrian. Jorge Sanchez, he missed a goal that was pretty clear. A couple minutes later, he scores a golazo for a right back. I mean, the golazo for any forward would have been lucky to score that goal, or would have been happy to score that goal. Takes it down, controls it with his chest, has all the time in the world to put it in the back of the net. Jorge Sanchez, you were critical of him before that goal. Did that goal change your mind on his performance today?
No, no, that doesn't change anything. The only thing that I want to say is that this is Jorge Sanchez. This is classic Jorge Sanchez. Not great at defending, and every now and then having a badass golazo that will help the team, whether if it's at club level or Mexico. This is the kind of stuff that puts a big question mark or even more doubt in the names of Rodrigo Huescas and Julianaraujo, right? Because even though they've been given chances to prove themselves as a contender for this position, they keep not capitalizing on any of those opportunities. And Jorge Sanchez jumps in on a match that arguably you can say that it was pretty much defined after that second goal, but he saw an opportunity and he made himself be relevant on the score sheet. So this is just more ammo for him to be the number one right back for Mexico and Vascoaguirre.
So we've talked a lot about individual players here, but talking about the team, talking about the match in general. Honduras obviously winning the first match. Did you anticipate this type of match for this game where Honduras was just going to completely sit back and try to absorb for 90 minutes Mexican constant attack? Mexico in the first half had, can't even remember how many corners, had many opportunities, obviously scored that goal from Raul Jimenez. But, I mean, to go into this match with that mentality that Honduras had, I mean, trying to win it or trying to just qualify by, parking the bus. I mean, we don't see that work too often, and Mexico was able to turn it around quickly.
Yeah, to be completely honest with you, I wasn't expecting this big of a score between Mexico and Honduras. In the back of my mind, I thought that Honduras was going to play defensively, but I wasn't expecting a full-on park the bus since minute one, right? And even like in the 60th minute, he just went even deeper on the parking the bus by adding an additional defender and going through to a line of line of five back. So I guess they don't learn from their mistakes because they keep on doing this. They keep on, exhibiting Mexico at their home turf, and then when they go to Mexico and play in Mexican soil, they always revert back to just parking the bus when they don't realize that this is a Mexican side that doesn't necessarily know how to defend well, and in a pinch or with the sense of urgency to prove that they're still a relevant team within the region, that you can actually go one eye to eye and one to punches with Mexico. Like, I think Honduras, if they would have realized that they can throw punches with Mexico at the same level, it would have been a different story.
Yeah, we saw that one opportunity that Honduras had where it was just a simple over the top long ball, and it led to a 3-against-2 counterattack, right? And thankfully it didn't go in. There was a tajada from Malagon, but yeah, I mean, that was the one chance they had, and it was dangerous enough to get Malagon to stop it. So
Yeah.
Yeah, Honduras ultimately undid themselves, screwed themselves over by not being a threat for Mexico in the second match. But Mexico ultimately, I think, had more than enough firepower to turn this around, and now advances to the semifinals. So Mexico goes through, and we'll obviously be covering that in March in a couple months. So keep it here at PPG. Adrian, man, as we wrap up this episode, we're going to listen to Finest Dude.
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram and TikTok. We post memes, latest news, and shorts of our episodes.
Yeah, so be sure to follow us on your preferred social media platform of choice and let us know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this Mexico performance here? The Mexico that, we were used to seeing, not really that 2-0 loss. Were you happy about, I guess 3 America players scoring, right? Jorge Sanchez, Raul Jimenez, and Henry Martin. So if you're an America fan, you must be really happy at this time. But yeah, let us know what your thoughts were on this. You going to say something?
No, I was going to say, Jorge Sanchez came from America, but he's currently playing at Cruz Azul.
Right.
Yeah.
And Raul Jimenez obviously was in America as well. But yeah, let us know in the comments below. We like interacting with you guys. And follow us if you haven't here on YouTube. Subscribe. Let us help us get to 1,000 subscribers. We're getting close. So really appreciate any follow or subscription you could give us here on YouTube. All right, man. Good
Hmm.
episode. See you in the next one, bro.
Take it easy.